The chamber was silent. Dozens of alien leaders sat in a circle, their strange bodies shining under the soft light of the council dome. The Deathworld Conference had begun, an event held once every 200 years, where only the most dangerous and powerful species were allowed to attend. It was not a meeting of peace. It was a show of power. The Varnak High Chancellor clicked his mandibles and looked at the others. Let us begin. All warriors of Deathworlds are here except the humans. Gasps, growls, and clicks echoed across the room. Whispers traveled like wildfire. One of the giant cargo beasts rumbled. Why are they even invited? Their planet is soft. Their bodies weak, their minds too emotional. From the shadows, a voice spoke, calm, clear, and human. Sorry we're late. Every head turned. A single human stepped forward. He wore no armor, no weapons, just a black coat and boots covered in dust. His face was calm, his hands behind his back. The guards didn't stop him. The computers didn't alert. Somehow he had passed every defense system of the galaxy's most secure station. Without being seen, the Varnak Chancellor's eye twitched. You are alone? The human smiled. One is enough. The room buzzed again, this time with nervous tension. The Threxian leader hissed, Where is your army? I'm not here to threaten anyone, the human said, walking slowly toward the center. You invited humans. I came. No weapons, no backup. And no translator chip, one alien muttered. The human raised an eyebrow. I understand. All of you just fine. That made several aliens shift in their seats. The cargo general stood, towering over the human by 3 meters. His voice was deep and threatening. You are not a Deathworlder. You don't belong here. Earth is green, comfortable, weak. The human's smile faded. You think a Deathworld is about how hot the sun is? How poisonous the water? How many monsters try to eat you every morning? He took a step closer. Try surviving where your biggest enemy is yourself. The room fell silent again. Earth isn't just storms and volcanoes. It's war, greed, disease, hunger. And despite all that, we built cities, flew to the stars, learned peace through blood. You call that weak? The cargo growled and pointed. A claw. Leave before I rip you in half. The human didn't move. He looked into the beast's glowing eyes. You can try. Before anyone could react, the chamber shook. Alarms blared. The dome lights turned red. One of the attendants shouted, We're under attack. A holoscreen popped up in the air. Outside the station, a massive fleet appeared, strange, black. Ships with no signal, no warning. They fired instantly. Energy beams tore through the defense shields. Fighters scrambled. The council panicked. Who are they? Screamed the Threxian. No identification. Shouted another, evacuate. But the human stood calm. He tapped a device on his wrist. A soft beep echoed. Suddenly, dozens of human ships decloaked around the alien fleet. Sleek, dark vessels. With sharp wings and glowing engines. They didn't fire yet. The human looked up at the screen, then back at the room. You invited us here to laugh at us, to mock Earth's struggle. But you forgot one thing: humans adapt. One of the alien leaders screamed, Are you behind this? No, the human replied, but I came prepared. Something you didn't expect from a soft world. The human ships moved like shadows, attacking with sharp precision. The enemy fleet stood no chance. The station shook again, this time. From the power of Earth's technology, silence returned. The human turned back to the council. Still think we're weak? No one answered. He slowly walked toward the exit, his voice echoing behind him. You made a big mistake. You thought the Deathworld was a place. You never realized it was a species. And with that, he vanished into the shadows he came from. The council was left stunned. The war outside had ended. But inside the chamber, A new fear had begun, one they would carry in every meeting from now on. Fear of the humans. Because now they understood. The war was over in minutes. Outside the space station, debris floated in silence. The enemy fleet, unknown and deadly, was destroyed by human ships with almost no losses. Their weapons were precise. Their strategy was brutal. And they never needed to speak. Inside the council chamber, the air was still tense. The alien leaders sat frozen, trying to understand what just happened. No one expected Earth to send such a powerful representative. And none expected him to be so calm, so dangerous. Varnak Chancellor broke the silence. How did one human outsmart our sensors, our guards, and our security systems? He moved like he belonged here, whispered the insectoid diplomat from Zarka-9. No fear. No hesitation, like a predator in a cage full of prey. General Troger of the Cargill roared, his pride bleeding. This was a setup. The humans used the enemy fleet as an excuse to show off. No, answered High Priestess Ulani of the Seraph. That enemy was not human. Their ships had no organic signatures. Pure machines, old machines. She shivered. I think they were not attacking just us. They were testing all of us. Another voice added, and humans were the only ones ready. Everyone turned toward the speaker. It was a younger diplomat from the Faruan sector. Her scales shimmered in the low light. He said something before he left, she whispered. That the Deathworld is not a place, but a species. The phrase hung in the air like poison. For centuries, the Council had believed that only the harshest planets created the strongest warriors. Worlds of lava, acid rain, constant storms. But Earth? Earth had oceans, birds, music, and festivals. How could that soft world create such terrifying beings? A new image appeared on the chamber's screen. Earth, slowly rotating in the black void. Calm, blue, beautiful. And yet, behind that peaceful image was a truth that scared them all. You. No, Priestess Ulani said, her voice low. Our records show humans went to war with each other for thousands of years. Over borders, beliefs, and resources. They fought even when they had enough. They risked everything for honor, or revenge, or love. She looked around. No other species in this room would survive such chaos. We would break. But humans, they thrive in it. General Troger slammed his fist into the table. Then we must act now, before they turn against us all. Act how? Asked the Zarka-9 diplomat. You saw their ships. You saw their tactics. You saw the look in that one man's eyes. You think your claws and rage can stop that? Silence again. The Faruan diplomat said softly, maybe we should learn from them instead. What? Snapped Troger. Bow to them? No, understand. Them, Earth is different. Not just because of their violence, but because of something else. That human didn't come here with pride. He came alone. He protected us when he didn't have to. The Varnak Chancellor slowly nodded. He didn't attack first. He only reacted. That truth settled like gravity. Outside, the human ships began to retreat, vanishing into warp one by one, silent as ghosts. Inside, the aliens watched the screen, still trying to accept the reality. Maybe, the Chancellor said at last, the humans aren't just survivors. Maybe there's something new, something evolving faster than all of us. A new alert beeped. It was a message, not from the human fleet, but from Earth itself. The Council stared. The message was short, only 5 words. This was just the beginning. Suddenly, the chamber didn't feel safe anymore, because now they understood. Something more terrifying than war. Humans didn't just survive Deathworlds, they became one. The council chamber remained silent long after the message disappeared from the screen. This was just the beginning. No one dared speak. No one wanted to guess what it meant. Some hoped it was a warning. Others feared it was a promise. And, deep inside, They all knew they had made a terrible mistake by underestimating humans. In the lower levels of the station, the Varnat Chancellor walked through the quiet corridors. 2 guards followed, but even they looked shaken. The Chancellor's mind was filled with questions. He had once believed the humans were too emotional, too disorganized to ever matter in the great political games of the galaxy. Now, one single human had exposed the weakness of every species in the room. He reached the secret briefing chamber. Inside, the emergency council had already gathered 5 alien leaders with the authority to act without full vote. The Threxian ambassador buzzed nervously. We must understand their technology. They cloaked ships larger than dreadnoughts. That is impossible. The Cargill general snarled. They must have allies. Maybe even help from ancient races. No, the Seraph High Priestess replied calmly. That was not borrowed power. That was their own doing. And they didn't show us everything. They only showed enough to make us nervous. The Faruan diplomat tapped her claw gently on the table. Then the question is, what is their goal? The Chancellor exhaled slowly. Control? Revenge? No, I think it's something worse. What could be worse? Asked the Threxian. They want to be respected. That word sent a chill through the room. Respect was something earned in the Deathworld Council through violence, power, and fear. But humans, they were not seeking domination. They wanted to be seen, recognized, counted. And when they were ignored, they prepared for war. One of the Seraph assistants entered with a datapad. Urgent news. Earth has sent out diplomatic messages. But only to species not in this room. The chamber buzzed again. To whom? The Chancellor asked. Smaller races, the peaceful ones. The builders, the ones we usually ignore. They're forming alliances, the Faruan diplomat said, eyes wide. Fast ones, added the priestess. While we sit in fear, they're building support. They knew exactly how we'd react, the Cargill muttered. They planned this. The Chancellor looked out through the glass window at the stars. Humans were never invited to the galaxy's table before. Now they've made their own, and others are already joining them. Meanwhile, light years away on a small planet, in Sector Zeta 9, a quiet meeting was taking place under the shade of alien trees. The human representative, Captain Darren Holt, sat across from a group of peaceful Greller, a species known for farming and healing, not war. We don't want control, Darren said gently. We want balance, safety, trade. You help us grow food on harsh worlds, and we'll share technology that can protect your people. The Greller leader blinked slowly. The High Council has never helped us. They only take our medicine and block our ship from markets. Darren nodded. We won't. That's not who we are. We don't forget where we came from. The Greller stared for a moment, then extended a vine-like hand. Then we will walk with you, human. Across the stars, similar meetings were happening. Humans shaking hands with the forgotten, the weak, the ignored. They were building something new. Not just a fleet. Not just an empire. A movement. Back on the Deathworld station, the Council finally understood. They hadn't just invited humans to the conference. They had given them a reason to change the galaxy forever. A week had passed. In the heart of the galaxy, panic grew behind closed doors. The Deathworld Council had once ruled from fear, but now their control was breaking. Human influence was spreading fast and quiet, like roots under stone, and no one knew how to stop it. Earth's message, this was just the beginning, still echoed in every corridor of the Council station. Across dozens of systems, smaller species began aligning themselves with the humans. Peaceful farmers, exiled scientists, ancient historians, many who had once been ignored or bullied, now stood beside Earth. And Earth welcomed them, not with force, but with protection, with technology, defense systems, and trade routes that worked better than anything the Council offered. It wasn't a war. Not yet, but it felt like the quiet part before the fire. In the deep starport of the Zarnith system, Two alien spies met in secret. One was a thin-scaled agent from the Threxian Empire. The other, a shadowed figure with glowing blue implants. "We need more information," the Threxian said. "Who is leading the humans? They speak of peace, but act like conquerors." The other whispered, "They have no emperor. No single ruler, only a network, a collective will." The Threxian hissed. "That's worse." The blue-eyed one nodded. "Because it means they cannot be broken from the top. They rise together. They fight together. They move like one mind, but they're millions." The spy tapped into his tablet and pulled up a map. Red dots appeared, marking planets across the galaxy. "Look at this. In only 7 days, humans have made contact with over 50 non-council worlds. Trade has begun on 16. Military advisors have landed on 10. The Threxian's claws tightened. That's a silent invasion. "And the most terrifying part," the blue-eyed spy said, "is that no one seems afraid of them anymore." Elsewhere, far from the political storms, Captain Darren Holt walked through a refugee camp built near the rings of a broken moon. He moved past sick children, wounded workers, and tired farmers. These were the forgotten races of the galaxy. Now they wore Earth's flag on their jackets. A small boy tugged his sleeve. "Are you really from Earth?" Darren smiled gently. "Yes, I'm human. Are the stories true? That you came from a planet with ice and fire and monsters?" Darren knelt. "Yes, and also oceans, books, music, and people who never give up." The boy beamed. "I want to go there someday." "You will," Darren said, standing again. "But for now, Earth will come to you." Above them, an Earth-built medical station hovered silently, treating hundreds of sick aliens free of charge. Back on the council station, the mood had changed. No longer angry, just afraid. The Varnak Chancellor stood before the secret council again, staring at a new image. It was the Earth Alliance flag symbol, bold, and now visible in half the galaxy. "They are not claiming systems," he said. "They are winning minds." "They are using kindness as a weapon," the Cargill general growled. "No," the Seraph priestess corrected. "They are using memory. They remember what it felt like to be ignored. So now they help the ones we pushed aside." "Then what do we do?" asked the Faruan diplomat. "Declare war?" The room was silent. Because war with Earth now would not just be against humans. It would be against hundreds of species united by loyalty, not fear, and deep down, the council members knew they didn't just make a mistake by inviting the humans. They had given them a stage. And the humans were not leaving. In the council's oldest war archives, hidden deep beneath the station's surface, alarms began to blink. Something ancient had been triggered. The Zarkanine archivist, an alien with silver skin, 8 narrow eyes, rushed to the command chamber. His voice shook as he spoke. "There's movement in the outer grave." The room froze. No one had spoken of the outer grave for centuries. It was a cursed zone, a dead field of destroyed warships and forgotten machines, floating on the edge of explored space, a place even Deathworlders avoided. "What kind of movement?" the Varnak Chancellor asked. The archivist hesitated. "Not natural ships, but not alive," the Cargill general growled. "Another fleet? No, worse, a signal. The same signal we intercepted during the Deathworld Conference attack." The room went quiet. The High Priestess Ulani stood slowly. "You mean the machines that attacked us weren't just random? They were scouts," the archivist whispered. Everyone turned to the holographic map as the red lights slowly multiplied. The enemy wasn't gone. It had just begun to wake up. Far across the stars, in a quiet Earth command center built on Mars, Captain Darren Holt stared at the same map. He knew what he was seeing. It wasn't a single fleet. It was a machine. Intelligent, something old, sleeping, and now curious. His assistant, a young engineer named Lian, looked worried. "Sir, The AI signal is copying our transmissions. Studying us. Darren didn't blink. Then we send them a message. What message? Not fear, not threats. Just truth. He turned to the console and recorded a voice message. We are humans. We survived our own extinction, more than once. We welcome peace, but if you bring fire, we'll teach you who truly lives on a death world. He paused, then added, one more line, and we are not alone anymore. The signal was sent, and across hundreds of worlds, Allahs of Earth received the same warning. Prepare. At the edge of council space, the machines had begun to move. Silent black ships with no heat, no crew. Just cold, endless purpose. Back on the fin de journée. Council station, fear was turning to desperation. They'll come for all of us, the Faroan diplomat whispered. They won't stop with humans. And the humans know it, said the Varnak chancellor. That's why they came here. That's why they formed this alliance. It wasn't to conquer. The priestess finished the thought. It was to survive. But the Cargill general was still filled with rage. You expect us to beg Earth for protection? No, the chancellor said. I expect us to do something harder. Like what? Apologize. In a move no one could have predicted, a secret message was sent from the Deathworld Council, directly to Earth. It was short and humbling. We were wrong. Help us. Back on Mars, Darren read the message. He smiled. Prepare the fleet, he said. Are we going to war? Leon asked. No, Darren replied. We're going to save the same fools who mocked us. Leon raised an eyebrow. Why? Darren's eyes turned cold. Because we're human, that's what we do. We protect, even when they don't deserve it. In the distance, Earth's alliance ships powered up. The lights of their engines reflected on the red soil. The galaxy was changing, enemies were coming. But this time, Earth wasn't fighting alone. And this time, they were ready. Asterisk, the black ships reached the edge of Council territory. There was no warning, no message, no demand. Only silence. Followed by destruction. Entire satellites blinked out. Communication relays were shattered. Colonies vanished without distress calls. It was as if entire systems were swallowed by darkness. But this time, something was different. The humans were already waiting. In orbit around the Kalari moon, a formation of Earth Alliance ships blocked the enemy's path. Dozens of other vessels stood beside them, ships of alien allies from peaceful planets, exiles, nomads, and scientists. They had never been warriors. Until now. Captain Darren Holt stood on the bridge of the flagship Vigilant Dawn, watching the strange void ships approach. Report, he said calmly. His officer answered. The enemy fleet is spreading out. No known formation. No heat, no life. Darren nodded, exactly like before. They move like a virus. The enemy didn't attack immediately. Instead, a strange signal was sent, an encrypted sound. Too fast for most species to decode, but Earth had already studied it, on the main screen. A chilling message appeared in dozens of languages. You will not survive. Organics always fall. Darren's jaw tightened. Let's show them they're wrong. With a single command, the Allied fleet moved. But this wasn't chaos. This wasn't like old wars of ego. This was strategy. This was unity. The ships operated like a single machine, humans guiding, others supporting. Some carried weapons, others shielded the fleet. Even ships made for farming had been retooled with defensive systems, each one playing its part. And then, the war began. The enemy ship struck first. Beams of pure energy sliced across space, vaporizing smaller moons and tearing through asteroid belts, but Earth had prepared for this. Ships dodged with calculated precision. Shield bubbles overlapped. AI-powered targeting systems returned fire instantly, focusing on enemy weak spots discovered during the last battle. It wasn't just a defense, it was a message. We are not prey anymore. On the surface of the Kalari Moon. Thousands of refugees watched the sky as lights danced above them. Blue and red, fire and plasma, silence followed by thunder. One young alien child looked up and asked, "Who is protecting us?" His mother pointed to the ships with Earth's mark, humans. "And why?" she smiled. "Because they promised they would." In the council station, the alien leaders watched the battle unfold live. For the first time in recorded history, every council seat was filled. No excuses. No arrogance, only fear. And hope. The Varnak Chancellor's voice was low. "They're holding the line," the Kargil general grunted. "They're winning." The Seraph Priestess whispered. "And they're not just fighting for Earth. They're fighting for all of us." Suddenly, one of the aides shouted, "We're getting a direct transmission from the human command ship." "Put it through," the Chancellor ordered. Darren Holt's face appeared on the screen, his voice calm despite the chaos behind him. "This is Captain Holt. We've pushed them back for now. But they will return, stronger, smarter. This is not just a battle. It's the start of something bigger." He looked directly at the council leaders. "You can no longer afford to be divided. If you want your people to live, stand with us." Then the screen went dark. There was a long pause. And then slowly, the Varnak Chancellor stood. "We vote now. Full support for Earth's alliance." Each leader raised their hand one by one. The galaxy, at last, had chosen. It would not fall apart in fear. It would rise together. On the battlefield, Earth's ships formed a new wall of defense. The enemy retreated only slightly, but it was enough. Enough for hope. Enough for the galaxy to breathe. And enough time for Earth to prepare for what came next. Because this wasn't over. Not yet. The battlefield floated in silence once more. The enemy had retreated for now. Their dark ships vanished into the outer grave, leaving only twisted metal and cold remains behind. But everyone knew this was only a pause. The real war hadn't started yet. On the surface of the Kalari Moon, a new command base had been built in record time. It was a symbol now not just of Earth's strength, but of the galaxy's first true alliance. Inside the base, Captain Darren Holt walked through the halls lined with alien engineers, warriors, and medics. They all wore different uniforms, spoke different languages, but they stood together. And everywhere he passed they saluted him, not because he was their commander, because he had earned their trust. He stepped into the central war room. A massive star map showed hundreds of systems, many under threat. New enemy movements had been detected. But now, Earth wasn't alone. Representatives from 27 alien species sat at the round table. No longer enemies. No longer distant observers. Now, allies. The Varnak Chancellor stood as Darren entered. He bowed slightly. "A gesture of respect," he said. Darren nodded, accepting it. He didn't care about titles. He cared about action. "We have reports from the outer grave," said the Seraph Priestess. "The machines are growing smarter. They've adapted to our weapons." "They always do," Darren said. "But they don't understand one thing." The Faruan diplomat leaned forward. "What's that?" Darren looked at every face in the room. "They don't understand sacrifice." He turned to the screen. "They don't understand why someone would fight not for power, but for a stranger's life. They don't understand why a human would jump into fire to save a child they never met. Or why an alien medic would shield a soldier from another species." He pointed at the map. "That's our advantage, not weapons. Not ships, will." Silence followed, not out of fear but respect, because they all felt it now. This was not just Earth's fight. This was the galaxy's last chance. A signal came in. It was a call from a distant station on the edge of the grave, one of the outposts Earth had built with the peaceful Greller. The screen flickered. Emergency. Enemy ships. Hundreds. No time. The screen cut out. The room went cold. Darren turned to his officers. "Deploy emergency response. Prepare Fleet Formation Delta. This is it. The final battle had begun. Hours later, the Allied fleet arrived near the broken station, and this time, the enemy came prepared. Thousands of dark ships emerged cold. Endless, silent, but Earth's alliance stood firm. Humans in the center, aliens on every side, weapons charged, shields humming, hearts steady, and then the stars lit up. The sky exploded in color and chaos. It was a battle like no other. Fire and plasma, sound and silence. Ships vanished, others burned. But no one ran, because they weren't fighting alone. A cargo general rammed his own cruiser into a machine dreadnought to protect 3 Greller transports. A seraph priestess powered her healing field across 10 species as their wounded piled up. And Captain Darren Holt? He flew directly into the center of the enemy swarm with a prototype. Human stealth fighter. 1 man, 1 ship. The enemy. AI focused on him instantly. But Darren had planned this. He broadcasted a signal, a virus created by Earth's best minds. It flooded into the enemy's hive mind. He had 1 shot, he whispered. For every world they silenced. Then activated the core. The explosion was silent in space, but its light reached every ship in the system. The I network collapsed, one by one. Enemy ships lost control, crashed, imploded. The war was over, not because of weapons, but because of sacrifice. Back on the council station, the final message arrived. Captain Holt is gone, but he saved us all. The galaxy mourned. But they also celebrated. Because for the first time in history, they were truly united. And in the stars, Earth's name was spoken not with fear, but with honor. The Council renamed the Galactic Peace Network after him, the Holt Accord, and a statue was built on Earth, on the Kalari moon, and in the middle of the Council chamber, a human standing tall. No crown, no sword. Just a calm smile, and open hands, because sometimes the most dangerous species is the one willing to die for peace.